Welcome to Remembering Your Oneness with Zane Daniel and Monica Kupiec, where we know everything, and so do you. Hello.
Aloha. Great
How are
to
you?
see you.
Yeah, you too. And good to see everybody else who's tuning in and saying hello and introducing themselves and telling us what it is that they're excited about or happy about or what they love in this world or in their lives. Let's hear it. Let's hear the positives. Let's not hear what's wrong. Let's hear what's right. Because, normally you could go on and on. This is what's wrong and this is what's wrong and wrong. Well, I actually say that you could go on and on and on and on and on and on and on about what's right.
Wow, Jay, we're already cutting you with a knife there.
Wow.
You're wrong.
It's a great start.
It's funny. I was actually thinking to myself how it's so easy to complain to just like your close friends of like, oh, something's not working out, or that someone pissed me off, or someone said this to me, or this event turned this way.
Yes.
And I'm actually going to make a conscious like effort to stop doing that more often, or like venting per se.
Yeah.
And just like turn it around to what's, like you said, like the sort of like the positive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. And when you call your friends that you haven't talked to in a long time, what do you talk about? Do you talk about all the crap that's gone wrong up till that point? Or do you talk about all the great things that have gone right up to that point? I think that's a really great question to ask yourself, because that'll tell you a lot about, how you think about yourself and how you think about the world. Because man, it sure is easy to complain or to, talk about the negative things. And sometimes we do it because we know the other person likes to hear the negatives.
Yeah.
And so we'll change ourselves to talk to the person and say, oh yeah, you want to hear a humdinger, and then you tell some story about everything that went wrong or how this one person screwed you over or whatever. And wow, how amazing it would be if you were just the deliverer, the carrier, the boat of positivity every time you talk to someone.
Well, it definitely like sets like the tone and the environment for a place. Like last week I went to go do something with my paintings, and I was at this location, not gonna say where, but the lady just kept saying like, "Oh, I don't feel so good right now. I think I'm getting a migraine. There was something that I ate last night." And I'm just thinking, you're not making me feel comfortable right now. Like, that's great that you're sharing, but I feel like you're oversharing right now, considering I'm about to drop a lot of money over here. And it was almost like when another customer came in, it's almost like she forgot that I even existed. And I'm thinking, I'm about to pay a lot of money to get something done for my paintings, and you're like not really, putting that much effort to like make me want to spend all this money here. And I
Right.
was ready to like take my paintings and go somewhere else, but I know that they do a good job at what they do. So it was almost like, oh my gosh, like this is such weird customer service right now.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, another thing that's kind of interesting is that you telling that story is kind of you telling a story of something that kind of didn't go right? Like, so
Oh yeah.
you ended up like complaining about somebody who was complaining.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening right now.
Right. It's super easy to do. Like that's how easy it is to talk about something bad. You just go, well, yeah, I think other people should talk about good things too. Dang it, why don't they do that? Right? Like, it's amazing how quickly we go into it.
Yeah,
So
well, that's what kinda caught me when I was complaining about that to my friend. I was like, "Oh, I don't really feel so welcome here," and then I was thinking, "Why am I complaining about why am I complaining about this?" But it definitely just sets the tone of the energy put into the product, though. So it's like that energy with her and then my energy of, like, complaining, it's like I don't really see the beauty in the overall finish thing that they're about to do,
right,
with my painting. So it was just like there's just so much energy going around for no apparent reason instead of accepting that this lady was complaining
right,
and, just leaving it at that.
right. Yeah, yeah, that's great. All right, I want to say hi to some people. Hi, Valentina. Hello, Brass Piece. That's a cool name. And he corrected his Zane misspelling, so I appreciate that, Brass. That's very nice. Um, Robin's
At least
Healing.
you got Monica right, because most people spell my name with a C and,
Oh, right. Yeah. So that's good. Oh, look at that. And so you just told a positive story about that. You twisted it around and found the positive in that.
instead of saying, "Oh, I get really irritated when people spell my name with a C," it's like, "Come on,
Right.
don't you see me?"
Right. Right. It's amazing. Yep. And then hello, Adele. And then Brass got a kick out of complaining about complaining. Again, it's just so easy to do.
Well, it's also funny to observe that you're complaining about complaining too.
Yes, it is. And okay, so things go right or things go wrong, right? So you in order to complain about something that you've decided that something went wrong. Now, who's to say that that thing that you're complaining about was actually right? So, it could be that, oh my gosh, we could complain about, we went and looked at a property in Florida like a month ago, and we had it under contract, and but we had it under contract sight unseen. So we had to do it online because 13 other people were trying to compete for the same crazy property.
Mhm,
So we won the bid, shockingly. And then we drove all the way to Florida, 8 hours, and we went into it and we went, nope, not good enough. So we could say, oh my gosh, what a disaster, what a wasted trip. Why did we do all that? They didn't
mhm,
tell us that this was the problem and that was a problem. If they'd have told us that we wouldn't have, blah, 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 right? But no, that's not how we tell the story. We tell the
mhm,
story that it was great and it was good for us to go see it, and we got the experience and we got to be a participant in that, and we had a nice road trip, and right, like we go on and on talking about how that was actually a good experience.
hmm,
And when you tell people that, sometimes they're like, as soon as you start to tell the story, they go, oh no, and you didn't like it, oh my gosh, what a waste of time and gas and money and all this stuff. They
mhm,
immediately jump on board to be miserable with you. But
yeah,
actually, yeah, I'm like, no, 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 it's fine. I'm like trying to bring them to my positive viewpoint. And sometimes it can
mhm,
be hard, even though they're not even the ones that were involved in it in the first place. That's the that's where the empath feeling, I feel like, sometimes goes a little bit off, because people will hear the story and decide, oh my gosh, that was terrible. And then they'll go into feeling the emotions that they would have felt if it had been them,
mm.
instead of feeling the emotions of me telling the story, going, no, it was great, we needed it, it was exactly what needed to happen. And they can have a hard time catching up to that, and really tapping in and feeling the emotion of, no, I have a great deal of satisfaction and excitement about the next time, and so on and so forth.
Well, it's almost like I feel like we always talk about this that, um, we always become self-aware during every experience, and that's technically a positive because you learn more about yourself. And if I hadn't had gone to this shop with my paintings, I would have not like actually caught myself about like the whole complaining thing of how things are a little bit more on the negative side when people ask you like, "Oh, how's business going?" or "How's something else going in your life?" And it's like it's so easy to say like, "Oh, like I'm struggling with marketing or I'm struggling with this." Instead of saying like, "Wow, look at the person that I just painted, like, look how cool this is, like, I feel so fulfilled." Like,
Yeah,
it's so easy to go down that hole of a negative. It's almost in the sense that it's more relatable per se,
yeah,
or it's, that act of I feel shy about expressing my successes or talking about that
True.
or not wanting to make someone else jealous or it's
Right.
like all those other emotions that are coming out. But it's more of like someone else is actually going to be happy for you that things are working out o- instead of going down the rabbit hole of sucking their energy through your complaints.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. We tend to love to commiserate. Oh, okay. That's where we can make a connection. If we both complain about things, then we're connected and we get each other and we like each other. We don't like the same things so that puts us on the same team. So
Mhm.
it has been challenging at times for me meeting people and I'm having a hard time going like, no, this is good. Like let's go
Yeah.
this route. And they're still just like, oh my gosh, but I feel so bad for you. But it's great to be an example for that, right? Okay, so I can show that, yeah, the miserable thing that happened, crashing the van, could really be a terrible thing, and you could really look at that in a terrible way. But no, we know that anytime something leaves from our lives, then it means it's going to be replaced with something better, or it's going to lead us to something better. So
Mm,
you can always look at the negative, miserable thing that happened and go, "Yay, that happened. Let's see what's next." Instead of,
yeah.
"Oh no, I can't believe that happened. We're screwed."
Yeah, I like what Robin said. Well, I guess it's a stem of Casey's comment. Casey said trauma such complaint bonding, LOL. And then Robin goes off to say it
Yeah.
makes me think of addictions and how we want to share the same negative patterns together and bond.
Right. Yep. Yeah. So instead, can you create bonds out of positivity? Can you create bonds out of excitement or gratitude? I mean, a gratitude bond is not something that we naturally do. Oh, I'm so grateful that it's warm today. I mean, we do that, right? Like, oh, what a nice day today. Yeah, it sure is a nice day. Okay, there's an example.
Mhm.
But most of the time, it's not. It's like, I'm really grateful that my wife made me a great dinner last night, right? That'd be like, what? That's weird. Why are you talking about that?
Yeah.
But
No, but even yesterday I was talking with my mom and she was literally complaining about how the weather in Chicago is just jumping like from 70 to 35 like every other day. And she was
mhm,
just saying, I'm so tired of this. It's like 35 today. And I'm like, well, you chose to live there. Like, it's not like you can change it. It's just gotta like truly embrace it.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so enjoy the fact that it's like that. Wow, how could you do that? Oh well, how often do you see it jump from 35 to 70? How often does that happen? Not so often. That's pretty interesting. Wow, that's a 40-degree difference every single day. Well, what are other times that it could be a 40-degree difference? Like you can go into it and enjoy it in so many different ways. Like, oh, yay, I went outside and I dug up my garden and now it's frozen, right? And the next day oh wow, it thawed all out. I'm gonna plant some seeds. Oh, and now it's frozen. I don't know. Why does it always have to be negative?
I can almost picture that because my mom does love to garden, so I wonder if that's why she's irritated.
Right, right, yeah, right.
She, like,
Oh my,
loves planting flowers and stuff, so I think she's just
right.
frustrated that she can't do it just yet.
Right. Well, yeah, but I mean, you normally can't do it until like the second week of May in Chicago anyway. So anybody who's trying to do it early, they're gonna get that result. So yeah, so good job, Casey. Making a gratitude list is everything. It's amazing how powerful that can be. And if you keep up with it, then it eventually gets to be second nature. You don't even have to think about it anymore. You're just walking around realizing so many things that you could be grateful for. Okay,
Mhm.
so stories. So we were going to talk about stories. So now,
Yeah, I heard you
especially
have a lot of stories, so
right. Well, we always have a lot of stories, don't we? Like that, our entire lives are incredible
Mm.
stories.
Yeah, I've got, what, 28 years worth of stories, and you've got, some a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, a couple more, at least a couple weeks more than you. So yeah, well, okay. So we've been on this endless quest to find a home because after that we crashed the van, or I crashed the van. I won't take we in that one. After I crashed the van, that we said, all right, well, let's see if we can find some sort of permanent residence. Let's see if we can
Mhm.
go somewhere cool. The disadvantages of living in the van is it's hard to take. You can't take showers unless you go into a public place. You can't, there's a lot of things that you can't do, but there's a lot of things that you can do, right? So, they balance each other out. Well, okay,
Mhm.
so I got the experience of doing that. So now I'd like to experience being solid in one place again and
Yeah.
feel that. Oh my gosh. Well, we picked the worst possible time to do that because it's very challenging right now to get anything, to get
Yeah.
to buy a house or even to rent at a reasonable rate. Everything's going up. So we've been doing all kinds of searching and diligence and all of that and going all over the place because I do all my work online and so does Jaybird. So we're not tied to any region. So that gives us the flexibility to go anywhere. So now it's like, okay, what can we find anywhere? Well, what would we like? We'd like somewhere a little bit warmer. And we put a lot of effort into Florida, but the competition there is through the roof. So
Mhm.
we said, all right, let's try some other places. So anyway, we find another place, we go to it, we're all excited, we think we got it, we think this is going to be the right one. It wasn't on the market yet, so we're not going to be competing with a bunch of other people. So we're like, yeah, this is going to be it. And we walk into the place and it's horrible. Like it smells so bad that in the 5 minutes that I was in there, I started to feel nauseous, like
Mm.
because probably animals up in the attic, whether they
Mm.
be alive or dead or whatever. I
Yeah.
mean, the whole place smelled terrible. The carpet is a disgusting mess. The layout was super strange.
Mhm.
On and on. All these reasons that no, we're not going to buy this place.
Yeah.
So once again, we drove 8 hours to see this place, and
Where
then
was this again? Sorry, I
now
lost
so
track.
this one is in Mississippi.
Okay.
So then we go, all right, we're gonna go. We ended up finding other possibilities. So funny story. The when the van got totaled, there's a whiteboard. I had put a whiteboard in the van that I used to keep track of maybe my grocery list or tasks. Well, we had
Mhm.
written on the whiteboard, hey, we would like to make sure that we get this van back. Please call. And I put my phone number on it. Well, we've had 2 calls now that the van is totaled and gone. It went to auction and somebody
Mhm.
called and said, hey, I'm going to try to buy it from the auction. I can do the repair work and I can sell it back to you. How much do you want to spend? So we're like, oh my gosh, okay. So we gave him a number, it went through the whole thing, and he didn't win the auction. So we're like, oh, okay, well, never mind that. Bye. Thanks for that. That was bizarre. So then we're driving down to Mississippi and we get a call. Hi, I bought your van and I found your number. Do you want us to repair it? So now they're talking about how much it's going to cost to repair it and so forth. And then we were like, well, we're kind of thinking about buying a house instead. And he's like, oh, well, I've got real estate too. so, so he ends up showing us a property, which very similar. It's terrible. It has a horrible smell of infestation. And it's like the same thing.
Yeah.
The floors are all warped and everything. We're like, oh no, this isn't going to work. So we were thinking like, yay, synchronicity. That's going to lead us to this place. This is going to be great. No, it was not. But anyway, we're going back and forth between Moss Point and Mobile, Alabama, which is really
Mhm.
only 40 minutes away from each other. But we're
Oh.
driving back and forth because it's like, oh, we got properties over here. Oh, we got properties over here. And
Mhm.
like I said, everyone is competing like crazy. So we finally get to one in Moss Point that we go to, and it was built in 2015. So there's no infestation. The floors
Hold on, Juniper
the
said something funny.
the floors are flat. and it's like, hooray, we actually have a chance to get a place. And there's nobody else competing for it. And we're going to be able to put an offer in and so forth. And so we did. And so now we're on the route of trying to get it closed and all of that. So all of that had to happen in order for us to get to a place that now we're on the path again. We're under contract. We're going to see if this all works out. But yeah, I mean, it's easy to get down. Like when we went to that first one and it was animal smells and everything, I was pretty upset. I was just like, oh my gosh, we cannot get this right. I am sick of this. Like, I don't know. But, what did it take? 20 minutes or less for me to kind of pop out of that and go, well, it's whatever it is. Let's see what's next.
That's a good one. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jaybird said, "Just telling everyone where we're gonna live, how safe."
Yeah, come on over. Everybody can come over. It's in Moss Point. I'll give you the address here. I'll put it in the list below. So, uh, so,
You'll get
so,
I'll pop up on your doorstep one day.
right, yeah,
We'll do the
yeah, great,
podcast in person.
yeah, that would be good. You're always invited. That's not a problem. Okay, so then while we're at a hotel in Moss Point one night, there's a meowing outside. We had a visitor. It was
Mm.
almost like a knock at the door, like, hello, I'm a cat. And so Jaybird goes outside. Of course, the cat's hungry. Looks pretty good, like in pretty good condition. It's pretty healthy and
Mhm.
maybe hadn't been on its own for that long. So
You were in, like, a hotel, or where were you?
yeah, we were in a
Mm.
hotel, like one of those hotels with the door to the outside,
Mm,
not into a hallway.
yeah.
And so we bring the cat in. I'm not a cat experienced person at all. Like, I have only had dogs, so
Mhm.
I hardly know anything about cats. So she brings it into the hotel room, and I'm thinking, uh-oh, this is going to be interesting. Who knows what's going to happen here? But I just went along with it. Like, hey, I'm along for this ride. Let's see how it goes. Yep. Yeah. See, and here's what she says. I heard the meow. I knew the knock at the door was for me. Universe did it on purpose. Yes, absolutely. So, so this cat just was like super chill. Just like, oh yeah, we're inside now. Awesome. And goes and gets up on a chair and just goes to sleep. Like, I figured it would be going
Aw,
bananas and all over the place. And it's just like, nope, this is my house. So,
that's so sweet.
yeah, so we brought it, and it, very quiet. We had it in the car. It barely made a sound the whole time. It just rode with us. And I and I made the horrible mistake of naming the cat. Now, I did not realize that if you name the cat, you become the owner of the cat. I didn't know that this rule existed, but he walked by and I was like, oh, hey, Charles. Like, I don't know, just like random, right? Like, I didn't go, I wonder what we should name this cat. I just
You just, like,
got
blurted it
named.
out.
Right. Hey, Charles, what's up? And she's like, oh, you named him. And I went, oh, is that a good thing? Oh, what's going on here? So anyway, now we have a cat named Charles. And we brought him all the way back from Moss Point to Mississippi, to Tennessee. And he is having his little neutering experience right now, which I'm sure is
Mhm.
very exciting for him. And so so I think we have a cat named Charles.
Oh, you definitely do have a cat. There's no turning back now. You can't just leave it on the streets now and just be like, "Hey, you're off.
Right.
Off
Yeah,
you
no, that
go."
would be totally dumb. Okay, bye. Bye, Charles. Good luck. That'd be weird.
It was cool that you just, like, randomly said, "Hey, Charles." I wonder if that was, like, definitely a connection to, like, a past life that his name was something similar to Charles and that you just remembered him.
Okay, so on our way home the next day,
There's more to the
yeah,
story.
there always is, isn't there? There's always more. On the way home the next day, I was like driving and like, wait, my dad's dad's name was Charles. Like
Oh.
my grandfather. I didn't go, yeah, I'm gonna name you off after my grandfather, right? Like it didn't that connection wasn't made until later.
Mhm.
So yeah. Oh, right. See, look at this, Jay. He was in the car when we found the house that we got the contract with.
Oh,
So
no way.
yeah, we brought him over there. So yeah, makes sense. It's all part of the thing.
Mhm. Yeah, he was helping you find the right house. You just needed him, and
I
then
needed Charles.
yeah.
Yep. You can hear her laughing in the side over here.
Oh, yeah, I hear it. It's
So
very
there,
addictive
that's
laugh.
my story. That's one of my stories for today.
That's very sweet. Well, I mean, it's nice that it's, like, all coming together, the fact that, you know, you have, like, a child in a way, and then you know, you need to have a home for this child and the house is coming along. Although some cats do the whole van life too, so that would have been fun too.
Which one?
Having a van with a
Oh,
cat.
right. Oh, right. And so, yeah, the quote that the new guy gave was kind of off the charts. It was like, oh, okay, that's not going to be a reasonable price for us to get the van back at this point. So
Mm.
that's fine. We say bye-bye to that. Charles was the key to the door that you had to walk through, says Alex. I like that.
It's a
Additional
nice one.
vibrational support. Absolutely.
Mm.
And I think Jaybird is not talking about me, but talking about Alex.
Are you jealous right there?
No, no, it's amazing. Not at all. All right. Okay. So, well, you have to. I'm sorry, you have to. So Monica, you got a story for us?
I feel like my story was the whole being aware of complaining.
Right. Okay. All right. So we're all out of stories.
I feel like we're out of stories because there's definitely not much more that has happened in my life than being aware that I've been complaining.
Okay. So then what's the okay, bye forever. We're all done. Yeah, bye everybody. Well, I don't know. What do we get? What do we want to do with this? Do we want anybody on our audience to ask any questions about the stories or to tell us a little story?
Oh, look, we got one already.
Ourselves, or we can raise our vibration. Oh my gosh, so many ways to raise your vibration, Robin Sealing. It's endless, really. But okay, so here's one that not a lot of people talk about is you have an ability to pull from the universe, right? You can pull from the unlimited energy of the universe. She needs to do this right now. Monica does. And that is
I think you're more tired than I am.
I know, I'm super tired, yes. But we can declare every day when we wake up, we can say, I am pulling from the unlimited energy resources of the universe today instead of my own reserves. And that is an instantaneous, like, replenishing of your energy levels. And when you do that, at the end of the day, you're going to feel a lot better. Now, this is a vibration raising technique as well. Yes, it helps with energy, but it also raises your vibration. And so I probably already talked to Robin Sealing about this because if I remember right, Robin might have had some energy issues from doing her energy work. So that's one of those things where that works especially well if you're an energy healer and you're working on people every day. You can really feel drained. And when you do that and you're feeling drained, it probably means that you're not pulling from the unlimited energy resources of the universe. You're pulling from your own. And so you're draining yourself. It's just like, if you're removing somebody's negative entities, you're not removing them and pulling them into you. You're removing them and getting rid of them, right? So that's a very big distinction that you definitely want to make.
Yeah. The last 2 days, sorry to cut you off, but the last 2 days, it's been like bird sounds that have been raising my vibration. Just different birds I think are around the trees and it's like I can feel them communicating with me and it's literally making me feel better and better. And then last night, like I heard the crickets. The crickets were much louder. And then that was like really just zenning me out. And I feel like zenning out is also a form of raising your vibration because you're lowering the thoughts that are being cluttered and then just being or translating yourself into just being.
Yes. Yeah. So nature is a very powerful way to raise your vibration, grounding, of course, and if you do raise your vibration, lookups on YouTube or the internet in general, you're going to find all kinds of things, including eating better and doing breath work and grounding and so on. So another way, and it's a very high vibrational way, is to do an energy healing or to receive an energy healing from someone who is very high vibrational, with their intention very much specifically set on raising it. So for instance, I have an activation on my website that you can download that will raise your vibration. And for anybody who joins any of my classes, I always have them start using that right away, even leading up to the first class. use that 3 times a week or something, and you're going to start to notice a very big difference. And then, I talk about it like there's an energetic vibration and then there's an emotional vibration. And your emotional vibration is something where and that's what I put a lot of effort into in our classes into, and that's taking your negative emotions. And so many times we have negative emotions about our negative emotions, and starting to turn that around and using all of that emotional power to go into high frequency emotions, which will also raise your vibration and keep it raised. Because
Mhm.
if you just do energy healing, that could be very successful. But if you don't do the energy or the emotional work, then you can lower your vibration right back down after the end of it, or after a certain amount of time.
For sure. Yeah, there was this one time after surfing where I just didn't feel good from the trauma that I had, and instead of letting all of that sit within me, I actually started to paint, and painting was then transferring that energy over to creating something that was relevant to what I was feeling, but then overall it actually helped raise my vibration because I almost like what was that word? Like puked it out in a way or just vomited it out. It was just like a way of releasing what was stuck within me. So it's like I think someone said that positive and playfulness will help raise their vibration, and
Yeah,
that's totally true. Like doing anything with your passion can help you get to that better vibrational state because you're almost learning how to free flow or to get in that flow state with God or being in that just that lighter frequency than just being stuck in your head because it's movement.
yeah.
Movement helps you shake all of that out.
Yeah, yeah. Being the child, that's the playfulness, right? Being the child is a very high vibrational act, and being the child can be all kinds of different types of fun. You can
Mhm.
be a goofball in public, or you can, play with toys, or you can watch the ants on the sidewalk for an hour, whatever. Like that's the type of playfulness that we're talking about.
Yeah. You're gonna pull up her
Yeah, I'm
comment?
doing that now. Yeah. Yes, cats are her passion, so I should let her get 6 cats. Yes, maybe. Well,
I feel like she should ask herself, "Why is a cat her passion?" And then dive
yes,
into the emotion of why the cat is fulfilling something and where what else can she do to fulfill that same sensation or frequency.
I agree. I agree. That's a
'Cause
great.
that is almost like 'cause a cat is an object, so there has to be something that that she can do that it isn't an object.
Within, right? Yeah,
Within, yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Here's Bernice who's chiming in. Oops, on ways to raise your vibration. There's many ways: laughter, nature, playing, praying, good conversation, animals, beach, drives, admiring sceneries. I don't know
Mm.
exactly what that means, but I think drives where you are admiring sceneries. Yes, yes, absolutely. Praying or meditating is another great one. Absolutely. And then Adele says, so getting up and dancing and going out to be a recreation leader for elementary school raises my vibration. Yes, it can. Okay, so Adele, it sounds like this is what's happening, but here's how it could go wrong. Come on, kids, let's do the thing. We're gonna do the recreation now over here. I'm tired and I don't care, right? Like, I have a high doubt that you're doing that, right? But you are raising your vibration by being enthusiastic and being a great leader for those kids.
Mm.
Okay, right. My partner is the same with dogs. Oh my God, like 130 pounders. So Robin, I wonder if Robin has 6 dogs as a result, like Jaybird who wants 6 cats. I think 6 is just a random number that she selected. I think if you said any number that exists except for a negative number, I think she would say, "I like that many cats, please." Like, oh, 4,000. I was thinking 4,027 we need for this other thing. That's how many cats I want, right? Like that's how it would be.
Well, I feel like okay, so if she's on if anyone is on the road of like, "Oh, I want so many pets," like, why not then make it be your passion to, like, create a safe environment for fostering pets or for creating, like, a farm for pets to
Right.
give them more love and then have them find better o owners per se. So it's like turning your passion for
Right.
that animal to then to, like, a business structure that can, 1, bring you income because it's having a lot of pets is a lot of you know,
It's a lot.
money. Yeah, it is a lot. I mean, I have 1 cat, I'm just like, "This is a lot." But maybe because I spoil her with really good food, but still, like, if I had 6 of them and spoiling them with really good food, like, wow, like, I'd need to
Yeah.
be a millionaire or something.
Right.
But, like, I feel like there's if you love animals so much, there's definitely that creative side that can be then translated into, like, your mission or into another sole purpose of yours, because 'cause
Right.
you're getting this unconditional love for animals, and then how can you use that unconditional love that you get from them to the rest of your life?
Right. Yeah, and so, Jaybird is talking about how they come to her and a spiritual connection perpetuates the feeling of unconditional love, not only for them, but for all. And that's a beautiful thing that is absolutely worth pursuing. It's also maybe possible to reach that no matter what. Like, again, you don't have to necessarily reach for something outside of you. You can reach within and have, a similar kind of experience. Yet, I'm going to change all that and say, we're here on this planet to be in separation. We're on this planet to have things that we pursue and bring them into us, and to have experiences that are outside of us, and love others, and so on and so forth. So in that way, you're actually fulfilling your humanness by going after things that are outside of you. And so it becomes, okay, is it an addiction? If it's an addiction, well, that's still a human experience, but is that a positive thing or a negative thing? And only you can judge that.
Mhm. Sorry, just one thing that came up because she keeps saying that I want 4 or I want 14. But what if it's something that you can learn from if you did have those many cats?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I didn't have dogs or cats growing up. And so,
Mhm.
I had an experience where one of my exes liked dogs. So I ran, well, okay, I guess we're going to get dogs. And I just went along with it. And I definitely really enjoyed them and loved them, and enjoyed that experience. So now here we are about to get some cats, I guess. And so, that'll be fun too. That'll be a new experience for me, and I will expand my ability to love and others, and it'll, a wonderful human experience. So I
Mhm.
I embrace it.
Even
Okay,
if
so
it is a joke that she's putting out.
yeah, yeah. So Robin says that, yeah, she's having the same problem, or not problem, but we're at 2, but he wants 5, and he's working on number 3. So she doesn't want that many. I saw it somewhere, right? She doesn't want that many dogs, but he does. Okay,
Oh, yeah,
so
it's
here's
it's just lower, a little bit lower. Yes, he wants to do that, but I don't.
right, right. So, and that's one of those things. Now you get to invite into your life coming up with a compromise and working together in a loving way to discover the right balance for what both parties want. And there's something beautiful in that as well.
Mhm.
And Jaybird says in all caps, and I hear it for some reason like this: embrace the furry children. So wow, we really went all over the place, didn't we? We were we were talking about stories, and then next thing you know, we're talking about animals, and the love of animals. Okay, here's a good one too, if you think about it. Why is it that we like animals? And especially, I see this a lot in the spiritual community, light workers and so forth. Really love animals,
Oh
and
my
in
god.
many cases, they love them more than humans,
Mm,
right? So why do we think that people love animals more than humans?
probably because it's all unconditional love that they give, and they won't abandon them in a way, or that fear of abandonment or leaving,
Right.
or their
Absolutely.
choice to leave per se, because the animal's always there with you, and it kinda doesn't
Well, yeah,
oh,
but there's another element to that, and that's that they have short lifespans. So they still abandon us.
yeah, I was gonna get to that. It's just that
Okay.
it's like there is that endpoint, but I think that you understand that you do have at least, say, 10 years with this animal,
Right.
and you know that the ending will come when they pass. However, the in between part, like, if you're in a relationship, like, you don't know when the end kind of is, and I think that uncertainty is what makes people get more animals per se, because then they will always feel secure, or they will feel that, furry, fuzzy feeling that animals give you.
Yeah, okay. So I think it all comes from one place,
Mm.
intention.
Mm.
So a human's intention and a cat or a dog's intention are two very, very different things. Because when we look at a dog or a cat, we go, what is the dog and cat's intention? It's survival and it's love, right? That's pretty much it. It doesn't do anything conniving. It doesn't have an intention like, I'm going to go over here, I'm going to pretend and I'm going to lie and I'm going to do this thing so that I can get this, and this. But a human can do that. And
Mm.
so that intention behind a human's motivations is what we don't like, because we don't know for sure what a human's motivations are. We always know what a dog's motivations are. We always know what a cat's motivations are. It's
Mm.
very, very simple. So we can't be threatened by that. We can't be hurt by that. We can't be upset by that, because we just go, well, the dog's being a dog, right? But how often do we say, well, a human's being a human, uh,
Yeah.
right? Like
It's
I
almost like you're more easy to let that animal be versus
yes,
understanding that this human or partner or whatever is actually just being who they are, and it's harder to embrace their flaws or the pet peeves that they give you and stuff like that. You're not
right,
realizing they're just being, but you're putting all of this judgment or the different intentions about this person, or assumptions, I should say.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's harder to let that go, considering you know that they can per se change that habit or that thing that they're doing, that you're not letting that you're not realizing or accepting that this is who they are.
right. So I think it comes from expectations. So you have an expectation that this human will treat you fairly, nicely, and so on and so forth. Well, if your expectation is not met, then you're very disappointed in them. You're very upset with them. It's really terrible and it's a big disaster. Instead of saying, well, you know what? My expectation was that I was treated fairly, but it turns out that that person went through an awful, horrible childhood and they had this happen to them and that happened to them. So it makes sense that they would do this thing to me. And so we can get to the point where we can look at other humans in the same way that we look at animals, because we go, well, yeah, the human is a little bit more complex than the simplicity of a dog, but they are also very understandable
Yeah.
because of all the circumstances that humans go through. And so if we could all get to the point where we look at other humans in the same way that we look at a dog or a cat, then I think that there would be an awful lot less conflict, problems, and negativity in the world, and we would actually love everybody with much easier and without the those expectations and
Mhm.
disappointments and frustrations, because we just go, yeah, it's a human being a human.
Yeah. And I feel like that's like a easy way of putting it, of why I paint in abstract, or as a way for people's energy portraits of painting their soul. It's literally removing that physical aspect or expectation of how someone should look like. It's really just showing you your true essence and seeing the beauty within the colors and the textures and everything that forms within it. And it helps someone else understand you better also by seeing all those vibrant colors, or maybe they're more muted colors because you are a more calming person, or there's just something within that painting that will help spark a realization about you. I know when I painted my parents, it was like, oh wow, I feel like I truly understand you more now, just because I made this. Like, you're truly just being who you are, and by noticing that through the colors and the textures and the downloads that come in the channelings, it's like, oh, okay, now I get you slightly better. And then it's even when I painted Jaybird's cat, like it was that understanding of like, oh, I get why you're so connected to this cat, because this cat is just has a very loving, unconditional love frequency, and it shows why you're so connected to it, or not like attached. I wouldn't say attached, but it's like this cat has this huge purpose for you. Even when I painted my own cat, it's like I understand why you're so lively and so bubbly. It's because it's teaching me the same thing. It's not something that you can totally tell by seeing someone in a physical. It's like really tapping into that frequency of what that vibration is that this person carries that is helping me or helping someone else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. They're amazing. So I definitely want you to check them out, Alex. I think you'll really like them.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, for sure. So let's see what there was one that I was gonna say. Or let's see. Okay, I love this. Jaybird says, I mean, tell that to my dog I had, who would grab a human food snack and hide and pretend he didn't do the bad thing. Yeah, right. But you still go, well, that's just the dog, right? It's the dog being a dog. Like you still have that feeling about it, as opposed to a human who does it. You're like, well, you should know better, right? Like you should know better than to do that.
Yeah.
Well, okay, yeah,
Or if
maybe.
like someone wants to go for seconds, you're judging them for eating more versus them just wanting to eat more type of
Exactly.
thing.
Oh yeah, so easy to do. Yeah, yeah, I agree, Brass. Like,
Thank you, Brass.
yeah. Let's see here.
I
What
feel like
else?
there was a lot that came through while we were both talking.
Yeah, I know there was a lot of. Okay, I want to read Alex's here. Alex, yeah, I had a best friend, a giant German Shepherd named Apollo, and he was my best friend, which he said previously. And when I became homeless, I had to let him go to a new home, and it taught me so much about responsibility and the unconditional love and connection that you can have with an animal. He was basically telepathic with me. That's,
Mm.
yeah, fantastic and amazing. And I bet you what you kind of learned, Alex, if you were in that situation with the dog, you realize that one thing that I realized, and maybe it's a little bit off, but the whole financial thing and the whole money thing in society and how that affects us. It's interesting because, when we had the last economic downturn, everybody's miserable and worried about it. The real estate market crashed and everything's looking morbid and morose, and oh no, we're in such trouble. And I remember like stepping outside and the birds were still chirping and flitting from tree branch to tree branch and everything was fine. And I thought, well, this is such a human creation that
Mm.
there's no little birds with suitcases like leaving their nests because their nests got foreclosed on, right? Like this is definitely a human creation, and these animals are still going to go on completely oblivious to this crazy system that we've created. But if there's a hurricane, well, the animals are going to be affected as well. So there's a huge difference between the nature and the power of nature versus the human creation of financial insecurity and so forth. That is relegated just to humans, except then you can get into people who have animals who now all of a sudden can't afford them, which is what Alex experienced. So that's where all of a sudden that human system does affect nature, but it doesn't affect nature on its own out in the world. It really only affects the nature that we've brought into our homes.
Yeah. Or at least that lesson that he learned from the dog is definitely carried on for the rest of his life, that lesson of, or at least that telepathic connection that he had. And I'm
Yeah.
sure you can still communicate with
Oh
that
yeah.
dog too, because you have that strong bond, like he's always with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's always interesting to receive visitations from one way or another, whether through meditation or through dream. I've definitely had those dogs that I had appear in my dreams and interact with
Mm.
me in different ways. Yeah, and I would say that some of my earlier spiritual gift experiences were based on dream visitations where
Mm.
people who had passed appear to me and they talk to me in the dream, and it feels very different. And then, I probably told this story about this. It's story time, right? So I should tell the story. So one of my earliest possible spiritual experiences, I had fallen asleep, and a family friend had come to me. He appeared, and he looked different because he had passed. He was very unhealthy when he passed, but in the dream he looked young and healthy and
Mm.
strapping, right? And he was also very much a jokester during his life. And so I tried to joke around with him, like, "Oh boy, you really made yourself look nice, Paul," something like that. And he was just not having it. He was not joking around with me. He had a message, and he wanted to make sure that I got the message. And he just said, "Tell your dad I'm sorry."
Mm.
So I was like, okay, I don't understand this. But to give you a little backstory, my dad and he had both retired at about the same time, and they had these great plans to do all this fun stuff together. They were going to go golfing and fishing and play video games and just have a great old time. So when Paul died a little bit early, like right after they retired,
Mm.
Dad was pretty disappointed because now he didn't have his friend to play with during retirement. And so I called him and I said, "Hey, Dad, I had Paul visit me in a dream. You know what he said? He said that he was sorry. Do you know what that's all about?" And my dad, who is not a spiritually minded, open-minded person at all, said, "Oh my gosh." He said, "Yesterday I said, 'Damn it, Paul, why'd you have to go die?'" And
Oh.
so it was really amazing because it proved to me right away, like, oh, okay, so this was a real,
Mhm.
Paul soul experience, and it was important to him for me to deliver that message to my dad. So it was pretty neat.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
sure your dad was definitely very moved by it.
Yeah, absolutely. So Alex, I see him in my dreams. I also felt that it would be better for him to have a home instead of always traveling and staying with others constantly. Yeah, I get that. I had the same experience, Alex. I'm sure he didn't care that we were homeless, right? Because he doesn't, he's just with you, right? But I thought he deserved somewhere safe and secure, and that's
Mhm.
that's a really beautiful and loving gesture and sacrifice that Alex took for another. And that the dog would have done the same for him, right? So it's really beautiful.
So much good energy. It's all the animals, all the furry friends that are coming through.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Everyone's, like, memories of their, like, favorite animals and just what they want. It's like I feel like that's just raising the vibration of this,
Yeah,
podcast today.
right.
Okay, I just feel a lot of, like, warmth in my heart and, like, my whole body's just like, "Ah."
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, well,
Oh,
maybe.
and then I was actually gonna say, with the animals appearing into your dreams, when I did 5-MeO DMT, my cat actually
Mm,
came in to my, like, little, universe that I was blasted off to, and it was just, like, funny. It's like, "Oh, hey, you're here too." Like, I'm not completely alone, so, it's like they appear when you most, like, need them.
yeah, absolutely. That's very cool. And I had done some ayahuasca in my house when I had two of the dogs. I think two of the dogs. And when I had done that, they responded in the room, right? So they
Mm,
did things differently during the ayahuasca journey, where they came and they sat with me or they curled up with me in certain ways, and that in the entire time. And I remember one time just going to myself, "Oh, I think the journey's over now." At that moment, they both got up and left. Like they
mm,
knew that it was done. So, there's some pretty amazing experiences that you can have both in your dreams and in real life, because
mhm,
they are connected to their spirit selves, I think, way more than we are, because they're not distracted by judgment and they're not distracted by sneaking around or doing creative things, to strategies to get ahead or to take advantage or whatever. They're just their pure selves.
yeah. Yeah, yesterday I was at my friend's place and she has this like little tiny dog. I don't think it's a chihuahua, but it's something similar to that. And whenever I go over, she always like puts that dog out on the balcony where the dog is like in its like little like kennel thing. And it was the first time that that dog was just like roaming around and it would like follow me and like sit next to me and like cuddle with me and like lick my hand. And I was like, "Oh wow, like this dog is actually like really fun." And she just mentioned it like, "Oh, yeah, I always make him seem that he's, like, the devil or something, but he's just been needing more love lately." And I was thinking like, "Wow, I think he was just really
Oh,
attracted to me because of all of the, like, the nice energy that I put out that it just needed that, like, in the
mhm,
moment. Because she has a like, a newborn and, like, another,
right,
like, 3-year-old, so it's like, I think it's just always crazy where the dog just doesn't feel seen as much anymore, especially the times that I've come, it's like it feels like it's sort of like neglected. But it was interesting to observe that, wow, this animal was kind of just needing some extra attention, and I was able to give it that.
yeah, and well, what a difference in looking at it in that way, because you can look at it like your friend said, "Oh my gosh, this annoying dog, that's so frustrating," and then, "Oh wait, maybe it just needs more love," right? Like, "Oh, I need to just change the way
Well,
that
she
I'm
even
treating
said it too that like, "Oh,
it."
I don't give it as much love anymore," and she was saying that, like, her the nails were, like, overgrown and it, like, needs a bath, and I'm like, "It definitely needs
Yeah,
some
some
attention."
attention. Yeah, yeah, makes sense. Yeah, Alex loves your paintings, as I was sure that he would. So that's great.
Well, I always say if someone does not resonate with my art, it's mainly because it's not you, because I basically just show off the people that I've painted. And whenever I paint someone's energy portrait and give it to them, they're like, "Oh wow, I've never seen anything like this." Well, it's because I didn't paint you before, so it's hard to relate to it. So if you
Right.
look at it and it's like, "Oh, this is cool," but when you see your own, it's like a whole different it's a whole different experience,
Hmm. Yeah, it's great.
which is exciting.
It is. It's super exciting. All right.
And
Well,
Braz asked what else I experienced in the 5
oh yeah,
and TNT.
yeah,
Um, well, basically, like, when it happened, it was just like a 3, 2, 1 blast off, and it was very, like, fast moving. I did get to the point of, like, "Why am I here?" Like, I wanna go back to Earth, but I kinda just, like, sunk in with it. But it was, like, very, very fast paced. I honestly don't really remember too much anymore, but I do know when I did wake up, I was very thankful for the present moment. I was literally looking at the ants that was crawling in the sand. I did it, like, on the beach. I, like, literally grabbed some leaves that were nearby and, like, made sure that I was back on Earth. So it was definitely just a sense of I appreciate myself, in this moment.
yeah,
It's definitely very, very heavy. I liked ayahuasca better just because it was more slow paced and it actually kinda gave you more visuals of what to work on and what to release versus the DMT, which is like boom, 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 boom.
yeah,
This is everything that you need to
yeah.
realize right now.
It just goes by your face so fast. You're like, "What's that? What's
Mhm.
that? What's that? Okay, I don't understand anything
Yeah.
that's happening, and it's over."
Mhm. At
Yeah.
some point, I thought I was dead, and I was like, "Oh, wow, this is it." Like, and I
Yep.
think that's when my cat, like, showed up. It's like, "Oh, okay, well, never mind. I'm not completely dead."
Right. Let's go.
Yeah. I feel like anytime when you do, like, a heavy drug, it's always that feeling after you finish it is the most
Yep.
important message. It's not the actual visuals that happen, it's more of what what realization did you get when you woke up, and I think that's what carries on for the rest of the remaining time.
Yeah.
Because after that trip, I didn't really do any other heavy drugs after, and I think that was about 3 or 2 years ago when I did that. I think it was 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, and I've often stated it kind of like, um, it can be so challenging, the plant medicines, that when you make it through, you feel pretty good because you're like, oh my gosh, I did it. I made it through that very challenging experience. Wow,
Mhm.
that's pretty cool. Like, I can make it through that. Then if I can make it through that, then maybe I can make it through X, Y, Z, whatever, and
Yeah.
it might give you a confidence boost in your
Mhm.
regular everyday life
Yeah, and it makes
just
you
for
feel
that.
that your fears aren't so bad after all, or the thoughts that you have in your head are just they're not really that limiting.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. All right. Well, I have to run off to my next thing. So, yes, Bernice. It was nice to see your beautiful faces. Yeah, I've got beautiful faces on my screen right now, but I did not hear your voices. But thank you very much. It was great. As always, another fun podcast. Now, you're not going to be able to attend next week. Is that right, Monica?
No.
Okay. Well, then we'll be taking a week off, and then we'll see everybody in 2 weeks.
Yes. Thank you. Aloha, everyone.
Bye, everybody. I love you unconditionally.